Have you ever felt like you were standing on the edge of something big, like you're meant for more, but you're not quite sure what that more looks like? That moment where you can feel the pull of possibility, but don't know exactly where it leads. That's where true transformation begins. And today we are stepping into that space together. Welcome back to Journey to Self. We've been diving deep into becoming visible. From reclaiming confidence, setting boundaries, and stepping into leadership. Today, we're bringing it closer to home because visibility isn't just about how we show up in the world, it's about how we show up in our relationships. Have you ever felt unseen in your own family? Have you ever played the role of the peacekeeper instead of speaking your truth? Have you ever held back in friendships or romantic relationships, afraid of rocking the boat? For many of us, visibility in relationships feels the hardest because growing up, we were often taught that love meant self sacrifice. Being a good daughter, friend, or partner meant being agreeable. Speaking up was risky because it could lead to rejection, disapproval, or even abandonment. But here's the truth. You deserve to be fully seen in every relationship you're in. You don't have to dim your light to keep others comfortable. Your voice, needs, and emotions matter. Today, we're going to talk about how to stop shrinking and start showing up fully without guilt, without fear, and without apology. Before we dive in, here's the card I pulled for today's episode, the Three of Wands for my Light Seers Tarot deck. And the word that immediately came to me was exploration. This card is a reminder that growth isn't about waiting until you have everything figured out. It's about stepping forward anyway. The path ahead is open, the fire is lit, and your next chapter is calling. So ask yourself, where are you holding back from exploring? Where have you been waiting for the perfect moment when deep down you already know it's time? For our soul dive, again, we go back to childhood and how it shapes our visibility in relationships. For many of us, the way we show up in relationships was shaped in our childhood. Think about it. Were you encouraged to express your feelings, or were emotions seen as too much? Did your family embrace conflict and resolution, or was it easier to just keep the peace? Were you taught that your needs mattered, or did you learn to prioritize everybody else's? Maybe you grew up in a home where being quiet and agreeable kept the peace. Maybe you learned that love meant putting yourself last. Maybe you were praised for being easygoing, low maintenance, or not too emotional. And so, as adults, we carry those patterns into our relationships. We avoid conflict to keep others comfortable. We downplay our emotions, afraid of being too much. We hold back in friendships, not wanting to burden others with our problems. We stay in relationships where we feel invisible because that's what feels familiar. But here's what I need you to hear. Healthy relationships don't require you to shrink. The right people will not be scared off by your truth. The first step to being seen is deciding that you are worthy of visibility. Let's talk about what that looks like in practice. For years, I played the role of the peacemaker in relationships. I told myself I was being kind, but really, I was avoiding difficult conversations. I was prioritizing other people's comfort over my own. I was afraid that if I spoke my truth, I might lose love, friendship, or acceptance. One moment changed everything for me. I was with a friend, and she made a comment that felt dismissive. Normally, I would have let it slide, but this time, instead, I took a deep breath and said, "That actually didn't feel good to hear." And you know what? She didn't get mad. She didn't walk away. She listened. That was the moment I realized the right people will meet you where you are. You don't have to disappear to keep relationships intact. And the more you show up fully, the more you attract people who value the real you. For inner reflection, I want you to take a moment and ask yourself, where do I feel invisible in my relationships? What am I holding back from saying? What would it look like to be fully seen in my friendships, family, or romantic relationships? Just let those questions sit with you. There's a quote from Cheryl Strayed that I love for our whispers of wisdom. You don't have a right to the cards you believe you should have been dealt. You have an obligation to play the hell out of the ones you're holding. What does this mean? You cannot change how others have treated you in the past, but you can decide how you show up from this moment forward. You can step into relationships where you are valued and fully seen because you deserve that. This week, for your empowerment action, I want you to take one small step toward being fully seen in your relationships. Option one, speak up about something small. Practice using your voice. Option two, set a boundary with someone who drains you. And option three, have an honest conversation with a friend or partner about how you feel. Pick one. I would say pick the one that feels the scariest because that's probably the one you need to work on the most, but pick one regardless. If today's episode hit home for you, if you're feeling that pull to step into your next chapter but want the support to do it, I invite you to join Journey to Self, the Awakening. Inside, we go beyond these conversations and take real guided steps toward self discovery, confidence, and the life you're meant to create. You'll find all the details in the show notes. Remember, you deserve relationships where you are fully seen and deeply valued because true connection isn't about shrinking, it's about showing up as your whole self. Next week, we're going to talk about financial visibility, how to stop feeling small when it comes to money, wealth, and asking for what you deserve. If this episode spoke to you, I invite you to share it with a friend who needs this message. And until next time, be true to you.